how scary it is.
She feeling good though? She had a good season.
She's not training a whole lot because she's first year intern.
Yeah.
We're going live.
Oh, right, wasn't it?
We're going
Because
live.
we're all afraid if you start talking, we gotta
Watch
watch
what I
you.
say. Or...
Yeah.
I can't.
We're going live, so. We're going live.
Not kidding. Yeah, I had that discussion with
That's the microphone.
Yeah,
The
so.
hot mic.
Right there. Right there.
there's no legitimate buyer or exception.
Cameras.
Nothing
That's
at
just
all.
recording.
Exactly. It's
Prime Minister of Canada
it's
say
black
something
letter
funny.
case,
That
quite
fine Trump's
frankly.
back when they get caught on the hot mic. I think that cost him like $1 billion. $1 billion.
The question as to whether or not you're the true owner, I mean, it's a legit question, because there's many explanations as to why.
Long time no see.
I know, right?
How do we know that the developer that park gap, his name in the back of the painting? It was there once before. Who knows, maybe they sold it and didn't have their own records right, you know? So, it's, I told him, I said, look, we can chase this down for you, but it's gonna be worth it, because, you know, right?
Trevor, call you?
Yeah, I just want to let
Today,
you
he
know.
tells me that this was very well 10 days ago. I talked to you about that.
Nice painting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
I texted him your contact. It didn't
Nice
open.
painting, by the way.
Fortunately, I don't email you, want a fax?
Mike Davis calling,
Who's this?
Mike Dowd calling, and Chris Worley calling.
Okay.
Well, Mike Dowd's a question mark, he might not.
Yeah, it sounded like you.
Yeah.
Good John.
And then we've got,
So John Hayes is calling.
I guess.
Somebody must have left. Chuck,
What was the last meeting in here?
all the announcements.
that's part of the focus.
What did they say? Condolences to Trent. I forget who told me that when I came on the board. Bill was the guy from the West End. Yeah, right? It's like, okay, what did I get into here? Okay.
I told them all about our Thursday meetings already.
What's for all the actions, right?
Online. I just can't see what it is.
Ron. Hey, Matthew, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet
Welcome
you.
to the group.
Thank you very
Glad you're
much.
here.
How are you? Good, good.
Right.
Good. Wait until you gentlemen start your engines. All right, it is now afternoon. I think it's seconds afternoon. So welcome, good afternoon, everyone. Glad you can join us today. Calling to order the February meeting of the Lehigh-Northampton Airport Authority Board of Governors. We'll get started with a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So with that, would you please call roll?
Certainly. Brian Dames. Chuck Dicott.
Here.
Mike Dowd. Frank Facciano.
Present.
Glenn Geisinger.
Present.
John Hayes. Ron Heckman.
Here.
Larry Hemberger. Jeff Matskin. Glenn Riedman. Ted Rosenberger.
Here on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Mike Stershik.
Here.
Matt Turk.
Here.
Chris Worley. Charles Zirinsky. Here. We have a quorum.
Excellent, very good. Okay, we get started with an invitation for any public comment. See Bob's here. Any words? Nope, very good. No public comments, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. If you remember, we had a special meeting early in January to approve a small item. Did everybody have a chance to review those minutes? And if so, take a motion to approve them. Second from Tara, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes of January 10th, 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, very good. And then we have our regular meeting minutes of January 28th, 2020. Hope you had a chance to review them, and if so, please take a motion for approval. Tara, thank you. A second? Mike, great. All in favor of approving the minutes of January 28th, 2020, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Very good. Minutes have passed. I think John is not with us, so he asked Todd is going to be able to step in and deliver a treasurer's report for us, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the month of January. We had a very good start to the beginning of the year. We had a budgeted net income of $73,000. As you can see, we actually budgeted a number of about negative 274, so we thought we'd start the year off with a negative foot. Last year we did, but this year we started off on a good note. A lot of that is because of the additional Allegiant flights, some of the less snow events. That's probably the biggest thing for us. We had less material and less overtime to cover that stuff. So as you can see, a good month. Go to the next slide. One more? Oh, okay. I guess that's just the thing. Something. Okay. This kind of breaks it down a little bit. Our net income, like I said, our ground handling, our Allegiant stuff was up. Our lease revenue, some of that's our pass-through with some of our utilities, pass-through when it came through. We had some additional flights, again, because of the Allegiant stuff, which actually increased our revenue. Expenses, again, snow-related expenses, material, and you can see all the rest. So that's pretty much the highlights for the month. Cash flow, it's an item that we're a little concerned about just because of we want to maintain our 60 days cash on hand. We're at 72. We ended up moving some of our CDs a little earlier than we anticipated. Again, they were already released, but it is something we're concerned about long term. But overall, at this point, we still expect to maintain over 60 days cash on hand for the next 12 months. Pretty cut and dry for the month. 1 month, don't get too excited, but obviously it's good to start off on a good foot. Any questions, concerns?
Questions? Could I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for January 20th?
Move to accept.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. That should have been you, Glenn.
You got it out quicker.
Thank you. Frank moves to accept the treasurer's report. I'll take a second.
Second.
Glenn, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Very good. And real quickly, before we jump on to Finance Committee, I should have started by welcoming our new new Governor, Ron Heckman, to the group. Very glad you're here with us and looking forward to working with you over your term to move forward here. Thank you. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, one of the next items.
You gonna do the next one for Glenn?
Todd's not left, you might as well.
Let him go.
You want to handle it.
Standing there. You
See
got
it
it.
with the sandwich and all that stuff.
Thanks, Todd.
This is the line of credit we have for our lease line of credit. Originally, I believe it was in 17. We took out about $4 million. We have about 2.2 left over. This is just a formality of approving the lease. We have to do this each year. We got 2.2 remaining on the lease, which we plan on using for future lease projects. Interest rates somewhere in the 2.5 range right now. Any questions, concerns? Pretty cut and dry.
Can you give us an example what you're leasing is?
That would be like equipment. For example, we bought the de-icers.
Okay.
That's one of the things we're going to use on there. If you go back to the cash flow, those items that say equipment lease, $600,000, $500,000, $500,000 increments, this is what we would use it for. But immediately we're going to use it for those 2 de-icers that we bought. Any other questions?
All right, take a motion to approve the BMO Harris resolution. Glenn, thank you. Let's take a second. Tara, thank you very much. All in favor of approving the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
All right, very good. Motion passes. Thank you. I'm going to, we don't have Mike with us today, so I will quickly walk us through a few items that were presented and approved by, or forwarded by the business committee. First, and I think Darren, you're gonna walk us through this one, is the approval of the amendment to Radar Drive temporary easement between LNA, FedEx, and Rock Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty pro forma here, really. Just a change that we have a current easement in effect for Radar Drive, which is the road just north of the FedEx facility now. So that easement was granted to Rock Lehigh Valley several years ago for construction and whatnot. We're amending it now, and it really has no effect on LNAA. It's just allocating costs for maintenance of it between Rock Lehigh Valley and FedEx ground. So maintenance costs, snow removal, we have no financial responsibility, and eventually this will ultimately go away when the road is dedicated. But until then, so we may be back in front of you again as they add additional tenants up there too. It will continue to get allocated across whatever tenants are in that area off that road. So any questions, I'm happy to answer, but pretty simple.
Any questions? Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the amendment to temporary easement between LNA, Rock Lehigh Valley, and FedEx. Chuck, thank you. I'll take a second. Tara, thank you. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. We have one, this was not presented to committee because it was kind of a curveball that PennDOT threw us. You might remember that we had an item, a similar item in January that we approved.
It's the new kid. Tell me loses his parking spot for a month.
Some kind of penalty.
Ryan, do you want to explain the backstory quickly on this one?
Sure. So last month we brought forth the general consent that PennDOT required us to update based on the updated federal provisions and state provisions. We submitted all that information, and the resolution that we had back in 2015 authorizing Tom, myself, Todd, and some others to execute grants needed to be updated with that general consent to make sure all the dates match. So really all we're doing is updating the resolution from 2015. It includes the titles of the folks that accept the grants in their online system to go along with that general consent.
You remember at our last meeting, we changed the service so it wasn't individuals, but it was titles, and I think PennDOT flagged some item when this was initially submitted to them.
Yep. So again, here's the updated resolution for Matt to sign based on those requirements that we'll submit with the general consent that was approved last month.
Great.
So just a quick paper exercise.
Any questions from anyone on that one? Great. I will then ask for motion to approve the update to the PennDOT signing authority resolution.
So moved.
Thank you, Mike. Second. Chuck, thanks. All in favor of approving the update, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. All right, motion carries. Thanks, Brian. Are you going to update us real quickly on this second one too then? Thanks.
Yeah, so at committee, we actually had our consultant, the Assured Partnership, who's working with ADCI on our security connector checkpoint project, give a presentation on the Alternative and Clean Energy Program funding that we're looking to get as part of that project. Basically, it has us going after the LEED Gold certification, and by doing that, we can request up to $2 million or 10% of the project cost, whichever is greater. In order to meet that certification. So I'll scroll down so that basically, so I mentioned the $2 million. If we don't meet that certification within 180 days, we have to pay the grant back. Based on our discussions, the Assured Partnership has never not met those deadlines, so we're confident that we can go through with that. It is a 50-50 match, so again, we're allocating money to the project, so it's just covering similar to our state grant funds, the 50-50 split. There's some of the elements that it can be used for, reduced lighting, glass performance, HVAC upgrades, those kind of things that save us a lot of money right now, anywhere between 5 and 15% over the long term, which is real money that we can use from the energy perspective. Just as a time frame, the reason we're doing this is we need board approval in order to submit the application. That's due March 14th. And then we actually just found out today, we actually get basically assigned almost like a case manager that reviews our application, asks any follow-up questions and so forth before the May 14th approval where they have it with their board. So really what we're looking for is approval to submit the application and, for Tom to sign to submit the application by the 14th of March.
And this is, to clarify, this authorizes the staff to prepare and submit an application. Should we receive the award, we still have an opportunity to proceed or reject it if we ultimately determine that we don't want to pursue the status for the terminal project, the connector project. Any questions? Anyone on the phone? All right, I would then ask for a motion to approve the ACE grant application.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Tara. Larry, give a second. All in favor of approving the application, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Real quickly on the executive committee, one item here, which is just an update. This is our opportunity to form a nominating committee, which will then, and as far as the timeline goes, the nominating committee will meet prior to our March board meeting. We'll identify a slate of officers and submit that to the board at the March meeting for consideration. And then we will take a vote in April during our reorganization meeting. I spoke with Larry Hemberger over the past week, and Larry has agreed to chair that group. I think, Larry, you're going to...
Yeah, just quickly, last year we had 5 people on the committee. I don't know if we need 5 again, maybe 3. We'll discuss that amongst us. If you'd like to be involved, let me know. We'll put you on the slate. Otherwise, I'll probably come tapping you on the shoulder.
Thanks, Larry.
By April, we'll know.
Yeah. Well, and if you are interested in being an officer, so let us know. You cannot serve on that committee, so don't volunteer yourself if you're interested in serving in that capacity.
Or volunteer yourself so you don't get chosen.
Another way to do it. Glass half full, Mike.
Who's thinking?
Thank you. All right, so I don't know if there's any formal action required with this. Very well. Probably meet the same week of the other, or the same day as the other committees in March. Or we'll leave up to you guys to determine. Great. Okay, Tom, do you want to give us a director's report?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Todd mentioned, a good month overall in the financials. We also saw that on our traffic for January, 11.7% increase. And we saw, increases across the board. So now 28 months of consecutive growth going back to October of 2017. So continued strong performance by all carriers. We continue to see growth with Allegiant. As you recall from our last meeting on January 28th, we had a couple of events. On February 11th, we actually had a little bit of a ribbon cutting here for Allegiant. We had pretty good turnout, I think, for that. A lot of the Allegiant flight crew. We also had a lot of local elected officials, so it was a really great turnout. Great day on the 12th. Also on the 13th, Allegiant began their Sarasota service, so that aircraft was almost full when it left here bright and early at 7:15 that morning. So that was actually a really fun time, and we were able to actually award a passenger on board some round-trip tickets on Allegiant. So it was a real fun day, a fun morning for folks. On the 23rd, just this past Sunday, we attended the AAA Travel Expo at Wind Creek Event Center. So we were over there. I think, Mike, you were over there as well. So it was a good day to represent the airport and what we're doing. Also, just a reminder that TSA pre-check, we still have a pre-check event ongoing through Friday. So if you're still interested in pre-check, you can still sign up. And one of the interesting things, we actually had 500 people pre-register for pre-check before the event got started. We'll get official counts when it's done, but I think really great participation in these events still. I also want to mention March 2nd, which is a Monday, we will begin work on runway 624 again. So we've been in winter shutdown with that project, and although we, as Todd points out, we haven't had much of a winter, they've still been
basically inviting snow.
we are. We're gonna keep saying that. So we are going to be working day and night, so different shifts. When we're working at night, we will be closing runway 624 between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. and exclusively using our crosswind runway. So some changes to air traffic in terms of how aircraft are coming in and out during those nighttime closures, but that will be commencing on March 2nd.
And that's not as significant a closure as we had it back in May.
Correct. That the intersection closure, really a very different animal altogether. So still accommodating all the traffic, still having weekly coordination calls with the carriers and making sure everybody's aware of the schedule. But just wanted to bring that to the attention of the group. And also a little bit further away, Saturday, April 18th, we will be having a full-scale emergency exercise. We call this our Triennial Exercise. Every 3 years, we're required by federal regulation to hold this exercise. It brings in a lot of our mutual aid partners, whether it's fire or EMS, police. So we have a massive exercise. It's condensed into 4 hours, but we'll be doing that on a Saturday. And we start planning for that about almost a year out. So we've been working, Steve and his team has been really working on putting this together. And this is rain or shine, right, Steve? This is rain or shine, so, or snow. So we're just going to say that, right? Okay. And I think beyond that, we did send out our GA newsletter, so I think that was distributed. If you haven't seen that, I think it really came out well. We have a copy in front of you, available online as well. So with that, that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions if there are any.
I have a quick question. I know that we got an alert on the additional time that would be required in TSA.
Yes.
How's that going so far?
So far, very well. We haven't had anything beyond, I think the longest delay we heard about the other day was about a 26-minute queue. So we're not seeing that 2-hour time frame. But again, as we move into the peak travel season, we want to make sure that people give themselves ample time to get through the checkpoint.
I somewhat selfishly, because I'm flying at the end of March, I want to make sure.
Yeah. I'm going out Thursday morning.
Yeah.
Man, how's that early morning?
Early morning's been working well.
Yeah.
It's been working well. So we continue to keep tabs on that, and we'll adjust, any information the public has needed.
15 minutes ahead.
Too plush.
Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
Any other questions for Tom? Thank you. And I do want to real quickly mention, I've tried to move these meetings along rapidly because we are doing the bulk of the discussion in committee. So if you feel like you want to get more in depth on any of these questions, I encourage you to attend the committee meetings. We're trying to keep those moving along too, but those are the Thursday before this Tuesday meeting, and they're scheduled for our next committee meetings will be March 20, sometime in the future. So that'll send out notice for that. But if you want to get into the weeds, that's where we'll do it. Thank you. We've got our monthly reminder from Judge Freeberg to fill out your forms.
There it is. You gave my speech. Just to point out that the forms are available, I think, online, and Sylvette can help you if you need any help in getting copies of the forms. When you fill them out, if any questions come up, every once in a while somebody has a question, contact me and I'll go through it with you and see whether we can't find an answer. They have to be filed by May 1, so you have some time, but you'll hear this come up again at the monthly meetings. That's just something we do to remind you.
I have mine from last year, which I might just get the white out. Do some corrections. Thank you. Any new business for the authority? No? Okay, I think we have
We have a need for an executive session at which we will discuss pending litigation matter and also a labor-related issue. So if we can have an executive session at this point, please.
Thank you. Take a motion. Glenn? Thank you. Great. We need a second on that.
Second.
Second? I don't remember on that one. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We are in.
Aye.